Day 3 of F1 testing has arrived, bringing some exciting revelations. Ever wondered what goes on behind closed doors? Today, let's dive into this video and explore the behind the scenes to uncover the secrets of the teams. Without further ado, let's know all the insider info and get a sneak peek at what makes these F1 teams tick. The final day of F1 pre-season testing at the Bahrain International Circuit has wrapped up. 19 out of the 20 drivers hit the track on day 3 to finalize their preparations for the upcoming season. Similar to day 2, the running was interrupted by a loose drain cover near turn 11. This setback resulted in over an hour of lost track time as repairs were made. However, the lunch break was skipped to make up for the lost time, ensuring all teams got a full 8 hours of testing. Despite the hiccup, teams made the most of the day to fine-tune their cars before the start of the new campaign. To prevent any issues during next week's season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix, it's been said that drain holes will be filled with concrete before the race weekend. As for the action on the track, Charles Leclerc ended testing on a high note by leading the timesheets on the last day. Leclerc outpaced George Russell from Mercedes and Zhou Guanyu from Sauber, both of whom made late improvements on soft tyres. The highlight, Leclerc ends day 3 of pre-season testing on top as the action concludes in Bahrain. On the third and final day of pre-season testing at the Bahrain International Circuit, Charles Leclerc emerged as the fastest driver, topping the timesheets. Driving for Ferrari, Leclerc set an impressive lap time of 1:33.322 on the C5 Pirelli tyres. This put him just 0.04 of a second ahead of George Russell, who secured the second position. The day's proceedings deviated slightly from the previous days, with an early interruption caused by Sergio Perez running across a drain area on the circuit, prompting track repairs. Despite the setback, the session resumed without a lunch break and continued until the end of the day. Leclerc's performance showcased Ferrari's potential ahead of the upcoming season, providing valuable insights into the team's competitiveness. When the session resumed at 11:45 local time, cars swiftly returned to the track, eager to resume their testing programs. With the clock ticking until the day's end at 19 local time, teams had a lot of ground to cover. Many teams juggled driver changes throughout the session, except for Williams, who chose to stick with Alex Albon for the entire day. As the day progressed, temperatures began to decrease, and track conditions evolved to resemble those expected during the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix, which is scheduled to occur after sunset. This shift in conditions gave teams valuable insights and allowed them to fine-tune their setups for the upcoming race. With time running out, every moment on the track was crucial for teams to gather data and make necessary adjustments ahead of the highly anticipated season opener. Despite the evolving track conditions favoring faster lap times, Charles Leclerc maintained his position at the top of the timesheets with his earlier session leading time. George Russell and Zhou Guanyu followed closely behind in second and third place respectively, all continuing to push as the track improved. Max Verstappen secured the 4th position after taking over from Sergio Perez earlier in the day. Despite only completing a few laps, Verstappen quickly climbed to the top of the timesheets before accumulating a total of 66 laps. Yuki Tsunoda from Red Bull Racing claimed 5th place, showcasing the team's promising performance in testing. Meanwhile, teammate Daniel Ricciardo completed a race simulation, accumulating a total of 70 laps. Alex Albon, enjoying the car to himself for the day, logged the highest mileage with an impressive 121 laps. The Williams driver concluded the day in 6th place on the timesheets, rounding off a productive day of testing. Oscar Piastri secured the 7th position, while McLaren faced an early setback when Lando Norris had to cut short his morning session due to a clutch issue. This prompted them to conduct their driver swap earlier than planned. Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez completed the top 10 as the final day of testing concluded. With testing wrapped up, teams will now focus on analyzing the gathered data in preparation for the upcoming season, set to kick off in less than a week's time. The Bahrain Grand Prix is scheduled to take place from February 29th to March 2nd, marking the beginning of what promises to be an exciting F1 season. Let's also check out the Day 1 and Day 2 highlights. Day 1 of pre-testing for the Formula 1 2024 season at the Bahrain International Circuit kicked off with Max Verstappen leading the pack. Verstappen's impressive performance saw him topping the timesheets in both the morning and afternoon sessions. He initially set a quick time of 1:32.548 in the warmer midday weather and further improved to 1:31.344 as the day progressed. Notably, Verstappen also showcased remarkable endurance, covering 2 race distances, a feat matched by George Russell from Mercedes. Following Verstappen's lead, McLaren's Lando Norris and Ferrari's Carlos Sainz claimed the next spots on the timesheets after taking over from their respective teammates Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc for the afternoon and evening sessions. Daniel Ricciardo secured 4th place for Red Bull Racing, showing performance parity with Ferrari. However, Ricciardo had a close call with a loose wing mirror from Lance Stroll's Aston Martin. Unfortunately, Haas driver Nico Hülkenberg wasn't as fortunate and ran over the loose mirror. In the late afternoon, Pierre Gasly from Alpine narrowly avoided a slow-moving Carlos Sainz at turn 12 and secured 5th place. Lance Stroll and Charles Leclerc followed closely in 6th and 7th places, respectively. Fernando Alonso secured 8th place overall, with Oscar Piastri, Zhou Guanyu from Kick Sauber, and Logan Sargent from Williams rounding up the top 10. However, Guanyu lagged significantly behind Verstappen by 2.5 seconds. Sargent faced disruptions during his preparations due to a spin at turn 9 and a suspected driveshaft issue. George Russell represented Mercedes and finished in 12th place, followed by Yuki Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas, Alex Albon, and Esteban Ocon. Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg from Haas rounded up the rear in 17th and 18th positions, respectively. Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton missed the first day's action as their teammates took over driving duties. Day 2. On the second day of pre-testing in Bahrain, Charles Leclerc initially put Ferrari at the top of the timesheets in the morning session. However, his run was cut short when he ran over a loose drain cover at turn 11, prompting a red flag and forcing Ferrari to repair the flaw of their SF24 car. Despite the interruption, McLaren's Oscar Piastri secured the second fastest time, with Logan Sargent from Williams and Sergio Perez from Red Bull following closely, despite Perez facing early brake issues. Carlos Sainz of Ferrari emerged as the standout performer in the afternoon session. He set an impressive lap time, initially putting him in 2nd place before pushing harder to take the lead from his teammate Charles Leclerc. Sainz continued to impress by switching to softer C4 tyres, allowing him to clock even faster times and solidify his position ahead of McLaren's Lando Norris. However, there was a moment of concern for Sergio Perez of Red Bull when his car briefly stopped after a long stint on hard tyres. Fortunately, he managed to return to the garage without assistance. Meanwhile, Sainz continued to dominate, becoming the first driver to break the 130 barrier with a rapid lap on the same C4 compound, enabling even faster speeds than those expected in the upcoming Grand Prix. In the afternoon session of the second day of pre-testing, Sergio Perez of Red Bull and Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes surpassed McLaren's Lando Norris, who faced issues with his car's rear and missed an hour of running. Perez, who completed the most laps at 1:29, steadily improved his time to 1:30, Samson C79s on C3 tyres, overtaking Hamilton, who climbed to 2nd place with a lap time of 1:31.066 on the same compound. Daniel Ricciardo secured 5th place for Red Bull on C4 tyres, followed by Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll of Aston Martin, and Esteban Ocon from Alpine. Valtteri Bottas from Sauber and McLaren's Oscar Piastri, who set his time in the morning, completed the top 10. Logan Sargent of Williams completed a full day of running and secured the 11th fastest time. However, Fernando Alonso from Aston, Zhou Guanyu from Sauber, and Pierre Gasly from Alpine faced limitations, completing less than 40 laps each in the morning session. At the bottom of the timesheets, Haas drivers Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg remained, along with Yuki Tsunoda from Red Bull, who was the slowest among the 17 runners. The afternoon session proceeded smoothly without significant incidents, but was briefly halted near the end for planned system checks by race control, leading to a red flag. So what do you think of these Formula One testing scenes? Comment below and subscribe for more.